Welcome to Holdfast, Season 2, Episode 5, A Visit to the Hanged Man, narrated by Jake Dowsell. Holdfast is based on the stories and characters of Epoch on the Rock. To find out more, visit our Facebook page. The rain hasn't let up in 2 days. The innkeep in Benjaminstead warned you about this. Old women are always dead on about the weather. But you had a deadline to meet. Doesn't matter now, you'll never make it in time, not in these conditions. The unkempt trade routes, already difficult to travel, have become sogged and pocked with deep puddles, making your wagon almost impossible to pull. To make matters worse, the harsh, cold wind travelling on the fog grips and stiffens your clothes, causing your movements to become slow and laboured. No, you'll never make it in time. Ahead, about 10 miles in the distance, lightning strikes, a voracious clap of thunder following behind. It's moving in fast. Just as you begin to wonder if you should pack it in for the night, the back wheel of your wagon suddenly dips. Sunken deep into a mud puddle, it's unmovable. That does it. You gather what you can among your wares and check your map. Luckily, there's an outpost just 2 miles from here with plenty of beds. After a couple of hours of rough terrain and difficult navigation, you manage to find yourself in the right place. Upon approach, you see a dim orange haze in the distance. A shabby tent, lonely on the southern trail. A wooden sign hangs out front, blowing in the breeze. Carved in large letters, it reads, "The Hanged Man, Mystic Den and Tea House." A logo of an upside-down man with the sun irradiating behind him accompanies. Further ahead is a bustling inn full of people, food, drink and song. But something about the tent calls for you. Maybe you'll just pop in for a moment, just to see what it's all about. Besides, why stay out in this cold for even a moment longer? You make your presence known at the door. Hello? Is anyone there? A voice calls back. Yes, come in, traveller. As you step inside, a waft of hot, sweetly scented steam caresses your face. Lemongrass and lilac? It's a welcome break from the bitter, sea-salted wind. Just from a cursory glance, you can tell this isn't your average tea house. Strange, foreign-looking decorations hang from the ceilings and windows. An assortment of tables, eclectically adorned with crystals, candles, skulls, and vials of knows what line the perimeter. Paisley, threadbare curtains hang from the ceiling and divide the space into 2 separate rooms. What are you waiting for? Shut the door, you're letting all the heat out. My goodness, what a night! A woman emerges from behind the drapery. Atop her head are a pair of large, pointed ears covered with rusty orange fur, accented with black tips and white highlighting, not unlike a fox's colorings. Thick, long black hair cascades from her head, down her shoulders, finding rest on a curvaceous figure. A bushy tail peeks out from behind a shapely waist. Staring for a moment, you quickly catch yourself and politely redirect your attention to her face. That's when you notice her eyes. They are pure, milky white, no pupils or irises to speak of. It's a bit eerie and unnerving. Can she see you? With the door shut, she excitedly motions for you to join her at a small wicker table in the center of the room. Sit. Make yourself comfortable. Poor thing, you must be freezing. She pours you a cup of hot tea from a black stone teapot. You kneel and thank her as you hastily take a gulp. You note hints of bergamot as a warmth grows from your belly and through your limbs. I've been expecting you, she says with an eyebrow cocked, the corners of her mouth are slightly upturned. No, that's not possible, you try to explain. I've never been here before. You see, I've been traveling from... No, she interrupts. I assure you, I've been awaiting your arrival. Her eyesight might just be as bad as you expected. you decide it'd be impolite to correct her. She hands you a blanket and instructs you to dry off and get warm. You welcome the opportunity, shedding your cloak and unbuttoning your drenched shirt. The woman's focus is placed elsewhere, mumbling to herself as she searches for something. While she's preoccupied, you take in your surroundings a bit more closely. A slit running up the divider allows you to peek into the second room. There's a tattered makeshift bed, more boxes and sacks of who knows what strewn about. It's a bit reminiscent of an opium den you visited back in Empire Stand. Your attention is turned to a dark corner of the sleeping area. A sliver of light partially illuminates a young man's face. He's staring right at you, deadpan, as if you've committed some sort of crime. What could you have possibly done to offend him? Your hands stop unbuttoning. He must think, oh nos. Quickly, you rebutton your shirt and lift your cloak back to your shoulders, trying hard to reassure him with a nervous smile. You'll just have to sit in your wet clothes a little longer. Ah, here they are! The woman turns back, pulling a large deck of cards from the drawer. She shuffles them with expert precision and begins stacking them in messy piles, the candlelight flickering with each lay. Worn from years of use, the cards are embellished with faded images of people, creatures, and objects. You recognize them as the tools of the soothsayers back west, but you've never seen them in use before now. We both already know you've been traveling for quite some time, and I think we know that won't come to an end anytime soon. She holds up a card. A staunch-looking man, pulled by two mystic beasts on a carriage. Not unlike you, if you were perhaps a bit more noble. She places the card at the top of the pile and picks up another. A man walking away from a city with a handful of swords. You're gonna be robbed. You think of your abandoned wagon. But, she continues, you carry with you something more valuable than you know. What may seem insignificant now may become priceless later on. She holds up a card with a man looking at a collection of chalices filled with treasure. Her seemingly dead eyes travel to the satchel sitting beside you. She smirks. She continues to flip cards and chattily make quaint predictions when suddenly the warmth of the tent dips to a dead cold. The orange glow of the candlelight fades away to an icy blue hue. The coy grin drops from her face. Her eyes glaze over and look right through you. She seems entranced or possessed. Air, water, fire, earth, those foretold a wicked birth, searching for the mermaid's purse, always doomed to carry curse. Earth, air, fire, water, travelled west the only daughter, dodging men who promised slaughter, soon she'll face the one who bought her. Water, earth, fire, air, dragon, rooster, rose, and bear, a shattered vow, a whispered prayer, the wolf is touched by darkness glare. Air, water, earth, fire, eternal life is their desire, ascension power they conspire, be ye warned they may acquire. A loved one left behind, the man with burning head, a brother left to die, a sister left for dead, a dwarf who holds a grudge, a mage of black on trial, all of us be judged by laws among the isle. A father on the run, one be left disgraced, a perfect newborn son, a memory erased. The trance's grip lets go. Her rigid form relaxes. Her eyes turn back to normal. The color of the flames recovers and warms the room once more. Your heart is beating in your throat, newly formed sweat pouring from your brow. The man in the sleeping quarters seems none the wiser that anything out of the ordinary has happened. Did you imagine that? A hallucination? What was in that tea? Thank you, you sheepishly mutter while searching your pockets for some ruffs. Your money is no good here. Her smirk has returned. Normally you'd insist, but you're itching to get out of this place. With a quick thank you and a nod, you take your leave and rush to the inn ahead. Come back any time, her voice calls behind you. What all that meant, you'll never know. Maybe she's just crazy, or gets her kicks from pulling stunts like that. Either way, you vow never to visit the Hanged Man again.